Good morning, everyone. And thanks for coming. Today, when I heard the month's theme, my mind already finished the sentence by saying from thinking to doing, crossing over from thinking to doing, because over the last 18 months, I've been thinking about this a lot and seeing the process of making thoughts into action. Also because most of the things that I was the most stressed out about were the experiences that brought the most amount of joy to me, so I found that surprising. But how today's going to run is, I'm not the hero, you guys are the heroes for today, and I was told this recently, and I'm just your mentor to help you guys overcome challenges that you have faced. So hopefully by chatting about some stories, you guys will be encouraged to jump into your own arenas and take on these challenges. So we're in this together. Don't sit back and relax. Look sharp and let's play. Okay, so at the start of last year, I was visiting Mel and Sue, friends in Greyton, and I came across this scene, and I saw these guys stuffing plastic into bottles, and I don't know why they were doing this, but I started asking around, and it turns out they were making a building material that is highly insulating, low cost, and it cleans the environment. And it's super easy to make, as you can see on the screen. You just use a piece of bamboo or a wooden spoon, and you compress the matter, the plastic inside. And most of it is all unrecyclable plastic, so it's plastic that otherwise would have just polluted our environment. So I started it. We went back we live in Port Elizabeth. I'm an architect, and together with some friends, we were so fascinated by it, particularly because whilst I recycled before, I wasn't that enthusiastic about it, and often it was such a mission and I would forget. But seeing how my garbage halved when I started doing this at the end of every month, I was sort of curious to see, if I recycled and if I used my organic waste to maybe make some compost, and next thing you know, we were hardly throwing away anything. So I was fascinated, and we came together, and a bunch of us decided to give up our spare time to do something better, but we wanted a cause. So I researched that it was started in Guatemala, and it was started also because of the waste management problem, and it was started by this lady, a German lady called Susanne Heiss, and she did such a good job of coming up with a simple structure. So it's concrete and chicken wire, and the bottles go in between and they get plastered. And to date they've built about 39 schools, and they run fantastic volunteer programs. We have been to Guatemala. It's a lovely place to visit, so I would recommend it to you guys. And then I started looking how it's been done in other parts of the world. So this is in Nigeria, where they've used mud in between the bottles, and they've used really lovely curving walls. In Colombia, they're using bamboo. The Philippines, they're doing all kinds of things. They're using Ecobricks as a way to connect with children and to get them into gardening. They do little vegetable garden beds as well as buildings. And yeah, so I started to see that the benefits there were multiple benefits. And I mean, my passion is, I love the environment, I love nature, but I also have a strong need to help bring about change, and I feel excited about that in this country. So a team of us, now this photo is a little bit tweaked as you may see, but a team of us got together and we found Dommisse, she's kind of in the middle of this photo, and now is when you guys need to actually help me a bit. Can everyone please reach under their chairs and see if there's an Ecobrick underneath your bed. Okay, so everyone who says, okay, you actually just supposed to pass, please pass that to that guy. We need to define a space, and could you hold yours up? And could everyone hold the Ecobricks up? Okay, a bit higher. So now all you guys are in the space that was the shack of a classroom with 60 children inside of it, and between the ages of 2 and 6. So this is Dommisse. It's behind Dommisse's house. Her house is an RDP house, and there's a shack behind it in that space. So basically, as the case with roughly 20,000 early childhood preschools in townships across South Africa, by the age of 6, these children are coming out, and the education system is kind of like lost on them. They struggle through school because they're having such rough upbringings. Basically, I mean, it's a shack with carpeted floors, and the rain, you know, it's not being kept out. And so a bunch of us came together, and we saw, you know, the need to improve the system. So being an architect, I started speaking to other architectural firms and engineers, and started thinking about the process of doing something similar to these applications, but here, and taking into consideration our environment and our rather strict building regulations. So there have been so many instances where, you know that feeling when you want to just pull up into a ball on a couch, when an opportunity comes to you and you think, oh, I could do that, or I could just lie here on my couch. Have any of you guys had that feeling? That came up so many times, and there have been really difficult challenges. So one of them was all the members of the community wanted to know when are they going to start seeing a building. And originally we were going to just do a small, you know, classroom at the back, but we found out how you need to have, what, 7 toilets for such an amount of children, and you need to have sick bays, and so all these things just weren't going to fit in the space. So we had to make it into a double-story building. So obviously the project costs, you know, more than doubled, but it was a nice challenge because it will become the first double-story Ecobrick building in the world. But to them, the community just saw it as, we want to see this thing start. So they were pressurizing us into giving us the time, and we made the mistake, we crossed over and we gave them a time. And that time we couldn't deliver. So you see here, this is on Mandela Day this year, where we gathered all our participants in the project and the stakeholders, and it was most of everyone's first time in the school. And we gathered them around, and they came and they spent their 67 minutes of goodwill with us, so it was great. And they made Ecobrick. But we announced that the start of construction would be the 20th of September. And we did that because we thought we had some financial backers in the wings that seemed promising. But they didn't, they fell away. And the result has been that now people are wondering, what are these guys, are they actually just playing with some model? So now our challenge we have to step into now is how do we engage more with the community so that critics become participants, and we don't come there and say, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to say, guys, we're going to do this together, we need your help. But it's been difficult, and every now and then when things get rough, a story like this comes along. So Dion Lodebeek, none of us have met him. He heard about us through something in the media, and he has kidney failure. So 3 times a week he goes for 4 hours and has his blood cleaned, or dialysis or whatever. And he decided to ask the hospital for all of their hygienic and clean plastic. And every day when he goes to the hospital, he makes an Ecobrick because he sees it as a way of turning his horrible disease into an opportunity to do good for others. And what's just amazing about Dion, I mean, he's made more than 500 Ecobricks. Now, what I haven't explained to you is that it takes about an hour to make one of these things, and it takes over a black bag full of plastic. So his contribution, and he's never met us. Like, he's never been to the school. It's so fantastic, and it's amazing when something like that comes along that just keeps you going. want to go back. Okay, so one of the interesting challenges that came about is we wanted to get the whole city involved in making. We needed 6,000 Ecobricks. And everyone in the beginning was like, there's no way. It's like, how are you going to get that amount of people's time and effort? But we thought we'd try. And so what we did is we established a network of drop-off points across the city where if people delivered their completed Ecobricks, they get a free coffee or a 10% discount in that store. And the stores like it because they receive foot traffic, and we like it because it's easier to gather the Ecobricks in that way. And so that started working out well. Next, we used Dommisse school as a shop, and we got secondhand items of clothing and toys donated, and people from the township would make Ecobricks and come and shop with them. And those events started really taking off. Actually, what people started finding is that all the little shop owners in the township now have separate bins because everyone's asking them, plastic is valuable now, so people are keeping the plastic aside. And it was such a process of the crossover that took months for me to make, was to see how, first I went in and my filters in my eyes were seeing all this trash lying around, and I was like, these people have no respect, and how it's just lying around. But slowly I started to see how, some weeks the municipal trucks come and collect the garbage, but some weeks they don't, and the dogs are roaming around and they eat the garbage, and we live in the windy city. Elizabeth is the windy city. So it just blows it around. And so I got to see that it wasn't even an option for most people. So this emphasis on putting value onto plastic was so exciting to us. So the momentum started to be gathered. And obviously we focused on social media and things like that, but the last one was schools. So we didn't have to approach schools. They came to us and they were so excited. It's good to see some school kids today. They were so excited about this, and I found that it's not hard to entice kids to get on board. And so the volume started flowing, and it started looking like we might actually reach that target. But this actually brought about a new challenge. At this stage, we didn't have any sponsorship, and we were kind of just going on people's donations of time and effort. And all of a sudden, like, thousands of Ecobricks started coming about, and we needed a place to store them. We didn't have any budget, so I had to start asking around, and we had to get really creative about how to find space. And it was the garage behind someone's business, and it was the Human Dignity Center, which is a place for children as well. And they're out in the sticks outside Port Elizabeth, and they said, we don't have any space inside, but there's this chapel in the jungle. See the pictures here. Some of my slides are missing, sorry guys. Okay, I'll use my words. So basically, there's this chapel, and it's been neglected, and there's a hole, and people keep on climbing into it and sleeping in this space. So the guy said it would be great if actually you could fill it to the roof with Ecobrick so that no one could get in. And I was so stressed out because I'd been borrowing some space down the alleyway of somebody, and this person was coming back, and we had to move these Ecobricks. So someone donated a truck, and all these Ecobricks were moved. I was so worried. But I got there, and in the morning of this day, of this move, this email came to me, and it said some aspects of people who live wholehearted lives. And one of them was to treat each day like a game. And then I forgot this, obviously, and I was just stressed. And I was at this place where there were all these children, and it was the holidays, and they finished their holiday club, and they were all standing around. And 1,000 Ecobricks in bags were delivered to this venue, but the hut was sort of 100 meters into the jungle. So I just started, lugging these things one bag at a time, and not knowing how I was going to do it. But I was literally walking through all these children, and it took about half an hour of these kids watching me, and one of them came to me and said, "Hey, can we help you?" And I was like, "Sure." And these kids burst into this game, and they were all running, and 2 by 2 they were carrying one bag, and by the edge of the jungle where the jungle started, some girls told me that originally they thought that I was the monster because there's a local monster that lives there, and this monster was prohibiting them from going to the jungle. So they would come with me, and they would, and immediately I was just like, wow, this is a game, and I got so much joy out of this experience. I'll share the photo with you guys afterwards, because at the end I took this photo of them climbing onto this chapel, all holding their Ecobricks, and it was just amazing how this experience turned into such a joyous one. So things started happening. Ecobricks were coming in, and the municipal submissions. We formed a relationship with an architectural firm called The Workplace, and they've been fundamental in helping and guiding us through this system. And we found a way. You guys will probably have technical queries, but basically the Ecobricks can't be exposed to sun, water, and they can't be a fire risk. Obviously, you don't want these things burning. But we also wanted to find a way that the walls themselves would become recyclable. So using dry walling construction with lightweight steel and boarding on either side, if you fill the gaps between the bottles with a light, also recycled material, it means that in 20 years' time you want to do alterations, you can just crack open the walls and they fall out and you can recycle the walls. So, that's interesting. And do you guys know what upcycling is? I totally didn't. A lot of you guys do. But it's basically when you maneuver a product to make it better than it was originally intended. So often recycling, it makes things lower. So, a bottle becomes something less useful. I love recycling, don't get me wrong, but upcycling in this instance, so this was my first time hearing about upcycling, where in Ecobrick it was becoming a wall material, so it was becoming something better than a bottle. But they were still building costs that were needed, and I have this phobia of asking for money. And we are a well-designed capital project, and we've been engaging in a lot of the activities throughout this year. And so one of the opportunities that they created for us was to match if we made a Thunder Fund campaign, they would match our milestone. If we reached it by the 30th of September. I kept on putting it off. I didn't want to cross over this challenge because I don't know why, I just didn't want to ask people for money. I feel like South Africans are tired of being asked for money. And so I eventually overcame it, and we made this campaign. You guys can check it out, where and we reached it. We were lucky to reach it in the first week, and so they doubled our amount. So we're starting to get there. But what's so interesting is that in the beginning I thought, everyone is just the way they're going to participate is to make Ecobricks. But what I'm starting to see is that often people love the idea, but their lifestyles don't suit it, but they do want to help in some way. And so actually giving them a different way, like a monetary way of being involved in the project and really involving them. So, their donation means that they become a physical part of the school. They're going to be, their faces will be in that school. People like that. So that's starting to go well. So you guys are very, very, very welcome to look at the campaigns on our Facebook page. Yeah, the other really beautiful experience for me has been the people. So apart from our team, which has been growing through amazing volunteers from Germany, from Zimbabwe, from all around, is meeting these Ecobrick rock stars and just being blown away. These are people that really don't wait for things to be perfect before they start. And so that's the final crossover thing that I want to speak about, is the perfection struggle that we have, or that I often have kept me back saying, it's a good idea, but let's just wait until we have this, or let's just... And so meeting these people that have encouraged me from all over the world. Candice and Nicola and Marshall I met all in Brayton, and they introduced me to the idea. Candice is right now in Zambia, where she's spreading the habit all around the country and making a chicken coop using natural materials. Joe is in California at the moment, and he's even investigating a new, different upcycling technique. Russell, he's going large in the Philippines. He's wanting to incorporate it into the primary school syllabus, that everyone needs to make Ecobricks and incorporate it that way. And it's likely that 20,000 kids are going to start doing this. Anita Venter is in Bloemfontein here in South Africa, and oh man, you should see the natural materials that she's worked with and the way that she's taken eco-bricking to a new level, as well as Renel Mostad. Now, Renel Mostad has made a little dome in KwaZulu-Natal, in Zululand, and it's this beautiful, it looks like a vernacular hut, except that it's made out of eco-bricks and cement. So these people, and having their energy every time when things seem hard, they just click on encouraging us. So I've been talking about crossing overs, and the last crossover I wanted to tell you about is one that hasn't happened yet. But I thought in the spirit of vulnerability, I would chat to you guys about it, even though that my ideas are still coming about. But I just thought, like, imagine if people eco-bricked and in doing eco-bricking they became open to recycling and seeing the difference they could make themselves in the environment, and then recycling everything that they possibly could, and then looking at their organic food waste and then bokkashing or becoming a compost heap, and very quickly you can find a way to have a system where no waste goes to landfill. And yeah, it'll take a little bit of work, but imagine living in a world where you are actually improving your environment by your life. And you know, it's always doom and gloom in the news and how the world's going, but imagine if everyone started turning that around. Like, that's a new bliss that I would live for. And today I encourage you guys, if you have other challenges you'd like to overcome, or if you'd like to join our many challenges, I would love for your input.